0516 local time, somewhere in the Caribbean Sea. The radar catches it first before anyone on the bridge says a word. A small contact appears on the screen, sitting low in the water, moving slowly but not drifting. No AIS signal, no flag, no registered identity, just a quiet steel outline cutting through open water in a place where it has no clear reason to be. On the bridge, there is no panic, no raised voices, no dramatic reaction. The watch officer simply leans closer to the display. The range is closing, the course is steady, and the behavior does not look right. Condition 3 is set quietly. Key stations are manned. No sirens, no chaos. Just trained people moving into position before the situation has a chance to change. From far away, the vessel looks harmless. Almost too harmless. It has the shape of a fishing boat, with sun-faded paint and just enough clutter on deck to make the story look believable. But the U.S. Navy does not rely on appearances. It looks at patterns. And this boat is not moving like any fishing vessel should. Electro-optical sensors take over. The camera zooms in. The hull is riding low. The stern is sitting deeper than it should. That means weight. Serious weight. The bridge orders a radio hail. No answer. A second call goes out on a different frequency. Still nothing. And out here, silence is not neutral. Real fishing crews answer the radio. Cargo crews answer. Anyone operating legitimately usually wants to be identified. Silence in this part of the ocean is a decision. The vessel keeps moving on the same course, acting as if nothing is happening. But the closer it gets, the harder the disguise is to believe. Its wake is uneven. The engine note rises and dips under strain. Whoever is at the controls is trying to look calm while forcing an overloaded boat through open water. The distance keeps closing. On the destroyer's deck, sailors move with quiet purpose. Helmets go on. Vests are secured. A rigid hull inflatable boat is prepared without drama. Weapons remain lowered. Fingers stay indexed. Every movement is controlled. The sea is flat and blue, calm enough to look peaceful. Then the small vessel makes its mistake. Without warning, it turns hard to port. Not a minor correction. A sharp, deliberate turn. Then it increases speed. That is the moment the situation changes. On the bridge, the course line updates immediately. The new heading is clear. This boat is not lost. It is not confused. It is trying to create distance. The RHIB drops into the water. Engines fire. The boat surges forward, cutting across the surface, fast and clean. Ahead of it, the fleeing vessel starts to struggle. Its bow slams against the waves, but it cannot rise properly. More speed only makes the weight problem worse. The stern digs in deeper, throwing spray high and wide. They are overloaded, and now they know they have been spotted. Through the EO camera, 3 figures are visible on deck. No active fishing gear, no nets in the water, no lines. Just men looking toward the horizon, then snapping their heads back toward the warship, closing in behind them. The destroyer does not need to charge in recklessly. It holds the area, controls the situation, and lets the faster RHIB close the gap. The small boat begins to zigzag, cutting left and right in rushed, uneven moves. It is a classic mistake. Every turn costs speed. Every correction loses distance. The RHIB cuts inside each turn, closing in with every maneuver. Another hail goes out. This time, it is not a question. Stop your vessel. Bring your engines to idle. The answer does not come over the radio. It comes in movement. A dark bundle is thrown over the side of the fleeing boat. Then another. They hit the water hard, skip once, and settle just below the surface. The crew is trying to lighten the vessel and gain speed, but the decision comes too late. The bridge records the time and coordinates. The video feed captures every second. The RHIB is only meters away now. Its bow wave rolls into the smaller vessel, rocking it from the side. One sailor raises his rifle, not to use it, but to make the message impossible to misunderstand. The boat's engine starts to cough under pressure. The hull shudders as the throttle drops. Then hands appear along the rail. Slowly, unwillingly, the vessel coasts to a stop. Out here, nobody cheers. Nobody shouts. There is only the low sound of idling engines and water tapping against steel. The chase is over, but the question remains. What is hidden inside that hold? Whatever they were ready to risk everything for has not even been seen yet. And that is when the real weight of the interception begins to show. The small vessel now sits motionless in the water. The bow drifts slightly, the stern hangs heavy and low. But stopping does not mean the situation is finished. On the RHIB, the coxswain keeps the engines ready. The team maintains distance. No one relaxes. Boats like this can suddenly move again if the crew thinks they see a chance. Behind them, the destroyer holds position. Large, quiet, and impossible to ignore, it dominates the horizon without moving too close. Presence without pressure. Control without noise. Above, the EO camera stays locked on the deck. Every movement is magnified. 3 men are visible, mid-30s, maybe older. No uniforms, no clear markings. Their eyes keep moving from the warship to the water, where the bundles disappeared. The wake tells the story better than any explanation could. Even after dumping cargo, the hull still rides too low. This boat was never meant to carry that kind of weight. The order comes across calm and level. Prepare to be boarded. No countdown, no drama, just a command. The RHIB moves in closer, sliding along the suspect vessel's port side. The boarding team reads the boat like a map. Handholds, loose lines, possible hazards, every detail that could matter in the next few seconds. One man on the deck grips the rail too tightly. Another refuses to make eye contact. The third keeps looking toward the engine housing, calculating. A sudden burst of throttle would be a terrible decision. Everyone there understands that. The RHIB makes contact, soft and controlled. Rubber against steel, engines off, hands where we can see them. This time they comply. The engine cuts out with a hollow cough and the ocean takes back the silence. The boarding team moves quickly but not carelessly. One sailor steps across first, boots finding grip on the slick deck. Another follows. Weapons stay lowered but ready. Eyes scan everything at once. Faces, hands, hatches, and the small movements that reveal whether someone is about to make the wrong choice. Nobody resists. That silence says enough. Inside the cargo space, the air is thick with a sharp chemical smell. Not fuel, not fish. Something synthetic, something processed. The hatch comes open. Inside, rectangular bundles are stacked wall to wall, wrapped tightly in layers of plastic, burlap, and tape. Each one is shaped the same way. Clean, uniform, professional. This is not some small local run. This is organized. One bundle is open just enough to confirm what everyone already suspects. White blocks packed tightly inside, marked with symbols meant for people who know exactly what they are receiving. The camera keeps recording. The count begins. First come rough estimates. Then the numbers get tighter, and they climb fast. This is not a few packages. This is not a test run. This is a major shipment designed to move quickly, reach land, and vanish into the network. The estimated value rises past $200 million, then higher. By the end, the figure sits near $298 million. $298 million. That kind of money does not move by accident. It does not travel without planning, and it does not get left behind unless something has gone badly wrong. That makes the decision to run look even more desperate in hindsight. Back on deck, the men say nothing. They do not have to. Their shoulders drop as the reality settles in. Whatever story they planned to tell ended the moment the first bundle hit the water. Their hands are secured. Searches are completed. No weapons are found. They do not need to be. The cargo itself is enough. On the destroyer's bridge, the seizure is logged. Time, position, vessel condition, cargo details. Everything precise. Everything documented. The water around the stopped boat is calm again, but the scene still carries traces of what happened. Small pieces of plastic drift on the surface where the dumped bundles slipped under. A visible trail of evidence marks the path they thought would keep them unseen. The RHIB backs off slightly and begins a watchful circle. This part of the mission is no longer about speed. It is about control, making sure nothing changes while the process unfolds. From far away, it might look simple. One small boat stopped, 3 men detained, cargo seized. But out here, nothing about this is small. A shipment like this does not simply disappear. Somewhere, someone is already waiting for it. Someone is already counting on it. And someone is already asking why it never arrived. And right now, they have no idea that the answer is floating motionless under the watch of a U.S. Navy destroyer. The chase may be finished, but the consequences are only starting to move. The boarding team does not rush. There is no reason to. The vessel is secured. The engines are cold. The crew is cooperating. But at sea, this is exactly when mistakes can happen, when the pressure seems to drop and people relax too soon. So the team moves with careful precision. Every action follows procedure. Every step is recorded. Boots touch the deck one by one. Weight is tested. Balance is checked. The smell is stronger here. Not fuel, not salt. Something processed. Something chemical. The kind of odor that has no place on a legitimate fishing boat. The 3 men are separated immediately. Their hands are secured and each one is placed where he can be watched at all times. No shouting, no threats, just short, clear commands. Sit, do not move. They follow the orders without arguing. But this does not look like relief. It looks like resignation. One sailor checks identification. Another begins searching the deck for hidden spaces. A third moves toward the hatch leading below. That cargo space is where the truth is waiting, and everyone on that boat knows it. The hatch is not sealed like an ordinary fishing hatch. Extra fasteners hold it down. They are not rusted. They are not improvised. They are reinforced. That is not how a working fishing boat is usually built. The seal is cut, the hatch opens. Inside, the hold is packed tight. No wasted space, no loose equipment, no random supplies, just row after row of wrapped bundles, stacked with the clean efficiency of a warehouse, not the chaos of a boat at sea. Every package is the same size, the same shape. Wrapped in layers meant to keep water out and odors contained. Professional packaging built for transport. One bundle is lifted, heavy, dense. Another is moved aside, revealing more underneath. There is no hidden floor, no clever compartment. They did not need one. The entire boat is the compartment. A small cut is made in the wrapping. Inside are compressed white blocks, dry and tightly packed. Markings are pressed into the surface, symbols meant for people who know how to read them. To the ocean, they mean nothing. On land, they mean ownership. The camera stays close. Every movement is captured. Evidence, photos, video, timestamps, coordinates. This is not a rushed discovery. This is a case being built in real time. The count begins again, slower now, one bundle at a time. Weight estimates are refined. The numbers rise steadily, then sharply. By the time the hold is fully documented, the scale is impossible to ignore. This was not a small delivery. It was not a trial run. This was a primary load. The estimated value settles just under $300 million. A conservative street estimate, $298 million. That number changes the tone of the operation. Not emotionally, but operationally. A shipment this large does not move alone. Routes have to be planned. Timing has to be coordinated. Buyers have to be waiting. Distribution points have to be ready. This cargo was expected, and now it is not going anywhere. Back on deck, the crew is searched more thoroughly. Pockets are emptied, shoes are checked, no weapons are found, no active phones remain. Every item is logged. One man stares straight ahead, jaw tight. Another keeps looking toward the water, as if trying to calculate how much was lost when the first bundles went over the side. The third does not look up at all. They do not ask questions. They do not argue. They already understand the situation. The boarding team completes the sweep. No traps, no surprises, no last-second move. The vessel is now officially treated as a crime scene. Chain of custody begins immediately. Every bundle is tagged, every image is archived, every action is tied to a name, a time, and a place. This is the part that rarely makes the dramatic footage, but this is the part that makes the case hold. The destroyer's bridge receives the update. Calm acknowledgement, no celebration, just confirmation. The water around the stopped boat is quiet again. The earlier wake has faded flat. The only movement now is the gentle rocking of two vessels caught together in the same moment. From a distance, it may look like nothing is happening, but in reality, an entire operation has just fallen apart. Somewhere far away from this patch of ocean, people are checking clocks, making calls, and wondering why a boat that was never supposed to be noticed has gone silent. They do not know it yet. Their shipment is not delayed. It is over. Out here, numbers alone do not impress anyone. Weight, speed, distance, range, they are just facts of the job. But $298 million is different. That number is not just money, it is momentum. A shipment of this size is designed for one purpose, to move fast enough that nobody can stop it. It supports an entire chain, boats, drivers, storage sites, security, payments, and people waiting for their share. Every hand involved expects something, every delay costs money, and every failure creates consequences. That is why this interception matters long after the boat stops moving. Back on the destroyer, the operation shifts into a different phase. The pursuit is over. Now comes evidence handling. Speed gives way to discipline. This is where mistakes can damage a case. Bundles are transferred methodically. Each one is photographed, weighed, and tagged. The process is slow on purpose. Rushed evidence can be challenged later. Clean evidence holds. The men on the small boat watch as their cargo is laid out under the sun. They do not react. They do not have to. They know what this means for the people waiting on shore. This shipment was not insured. It was not disposable. It was not supposed to fail. Somewhere along the route, schedules are already falling apart. A warehouse meant to receive product tonight will stay empty. A distributor expecting delivery will miss commitments. A crew farther down the chain will start asking questions with no safe answers. That is how pressure spreads. Quietly, unevenly, relentlessly. For the sailors handling the evidence, none of that changes the job. Their focus stays narrow. Count, log, secure, repeat. This is not about celebration. It is about removing dangerous cargo from circulation and doing it in a way that can stand up under scrutiny months later, in a courtroom far from this patch of water. The suspects are processed next. Basic medical checks are completed. No injuries, no resistance. Their information is documented and relayed. They remain quiet, eyes down, bodies stiff. They were paid to move cargo, not explain it. The vessel itself is inspected more closely now. The registration numbers do not match. The paperwork falls apart under even a simple review. The hull shows signs of modification, reinforced beams, altered compartments, changes made to carry heavy loads without drawing attention. This boat was not simply borrowed. It was prepared for this exact job. As the hours pass, the scene loses its urgency, but not its importance. The ocean stays calm. The horizon barely changes. From a distance, it could look like routine maritime activity, but the consequences are already spreading outward. A seizure like this does more than remove narcotics. It forces routes to change. It makes crews abandon paths they trusted. It pushes new boats into service too quickly. It pressures networks to take greater risks to recover losses, and greater risks are easier to detect. That is the part that rarely becomes a headline. One intercepted shipment becomes a reference point. Patterns shift, analysts take notes, future contacts are flagged faster. Routes that once looked invisible begin to stand out on the screen, and all of it started with one boat that thought it could pass unnoticed. On the destroyer, the crew rotates through watches as usual. Meals are served, logs are updated. The rhythm of life aboard ship continues. That is intentional. Professionalism means treating extraordinary moments like routine work, because the moment they become emotional, judgment can slip. By the time the sun starts to lower, the small vessel is no longer just a suspicious contact. It is a documented case. The men are no longer unknown figures on deck. They are detainees awaiting transfer. The cargo is no longer a rumor moving through criminal channels. It is evidence, sealed, controlled, and accounted for. The sea, vast and indifferent, has already erased most visible signs of the chase that brought everyone here. But the ripple effect will not disappear so quickly. For the sailors on deck, this was one operation among many. For the people who lost that shipment, it was a financial shockwave that will keep moving long after the water goes calm. Out here, stopping a boat is not about drama. It is about disruption. And $298 million is the kind of disruption that travels far beyond the horizon. By the time the transfer is complete, the sea looks harmless again. Flat water, long horizon, nothing to suggest that only hours earlier, a shipment worth $298 million tried and failed to vanish in this exact place. That is the illusion the ocean always offers. Distance, silence. Too much water for anyone to be watching closely. That illusion is exactly why smuggling crews keep coming back. They believe distance protects them. They believe that once they are far enough from shore, the rules become harder to enforce. They believe speed, silence, and anonymity can outrun consequences. They believe the ocean is too large to control. They are wrong. Out here, every mistake becomes bigger. Every overloaded hull leaves a sign. Every sudden course change tells a story. Every unanswered radio call becomes a choice that gets recorded. The boat did not fail because of bad luck. It failed because it trusted the same false idea so many crews have trusted before, that the ocean is empty. On the destroyer, the watch changes again. The ship returns to patrol. No fanfare, no victory lap. Just another course line drawn across open water. From the outside, it may look like nothing has changed, but beneath the surface, everything has. Routes that once felt safe are now exposed. Timing windows that made this run possible are now broken. Whoever planned the shipment has to explain how nearly $300 million disappeared without warning. And in that world, explanations come at a high price. This is the part that rarely gets attention. Not the chase, not the boarding, but the aftermath that stretches far beyond the deck of the seized vessel. Every major trafficking network depends on predictability. Boats arrive when expected. Payments move on schedule. Silence means success. Interdiction breaks that rhythm. When one shipment disappears, uncertainty begins. When uncertainty spreads, mistakes follow. And mistakes are exactly what maritime forces are trained to find. That is why stopping one boat is never only about one boat. It is about forcing the next crew to take risks they would have avoided. To run faster, to load heavier, to push into weather they should stay away from, to cut corners that make them easier to spot. The ocean does not forgive shortcuts, and surveillance does not ignore patterns. The men in custody are transferred without incident. They do not resist, they do not speak. By the time they leave the deck, they know this chapter is over. What they may never fully understand is how far the consequences will spread. Somewhere, another crew is preparing a vessel, unaware that their route has just become dangerous to use. Somewhere else, a handler is watching the clock, waiting for a delivery that will never arrive. And out here on open water, the destroyer keeps moving, scanning, listening, watching. No single interception ends trafficking at sea, but every interception tightens the net. That is the lesson the ocean teaches again and again. You do not outrun presence, you do not disappear from patterns, and you do not defeat discipline with desperation. The boat tried to run because it thought distance was on its side. It was not. At sea, speed does not save you. Silence does not protect you. And the moment you choose to flee, you give away the one thing you needed most: control. The ocean is vast, the surveillance is patient, and sooner or later, every run ends the same way: dead in the water.